like, are you in or you're out? But he also, I was looking for a home to buy. And I'd been looking for years. And, you know, I didn't look at the price tag because most of us are used to, like, we'll go shopping for clothes or something and we look at it and we look at the price tag before we even ask ourselves if we like it. How many can relate to that? Yeah. Well, and real estate, they have the books and they're broken down by price point. And you go to the section where you think you should be spending, where you think you can afford. Well, I stopped looking at price tags altogether. And I would look at these homes. I looked at a $60 million home down in Laguna Beach once. I didn't even like it. It was like a hotel. But I didn't look at the price point. And so here I was going to visit Cynthia Kersey and Blaine, and they lived on Whidbey Island part of the year. And so I Googled luxury waterfront home, Whidbey Island. And the third listing there jumped out at me, and I clicked on that, and then the third link there jumped out at me. And it was a virtual tour of this home on Mutiny Bay. And I fell in love with it, absolutely fell in love with it. And I go to look at it, and I loved it. And then I talked to Bob, and he said, well, are you going to buy it? And I said, oh, God, no, I found out how much it costs. Never say that to Bob. He's like, what? Do you believe what we teach? And I'm like, yeah, I believe what we teach. He goes, now you need to go back there. You need to live in every room of the house. And I said, I really wanted to have Christmas dinner there with my family. And he's like, okay, imagine Christmas dinner and the conversations you're going to have. And I want you to really get into this. And so Cynthia had gone with me the first time I looked at it. I went back the afternoon, and I did exactly what he said. And the realtors are following me around trying to sell the place. And I'm like, Bob told me to be one with the house. So I said to the realtors, excuse me, I need to be one with the house. They're like, okay, crazy lady, we'll leave you alone. And so I went into every room and literally, like in the bedroom, put my feet up on the ottoman. I want you to imagine yourself doing this. This is a home that for me was way beyond what I wanted to spend. There's pictures of the house up on the screen, on the property. And I went into every room. My feet are up on the ottoman. I'm looking out, I pull out a book, I start reading and enjoying the view, turn on the fireplace. I went in and used the restroom. I sat in the tub even. And then it was hard to get out of because it's really deep. But anyway, and then I went into the kitchen. And I started picturing my family there and conversations we would have at Christmas dinner. And I just really started to feel it like it had happened. This is my home. And I mean, I just fell in love with it. I thought this would be such a great place to write books and to study and to teach and to work on the company. And I just fell in love with it. And I talked to Bob after, and he said, so are you going to buy it? And I'm like, oh, I love it. But man, it wouldn't be prudent to spend that kind of money on a house. Because I had gone from it was illogical to now it just wouldn't be prudent. And he's like, that's just ridiculous. And so he said, here's what I want you to do. And this is where it gets hard. But I knew the results that he got. And countless, you're going to see many examples this weekend. When you start to really lock into the results he gets for people, or that people get when they listen to what he says and they do it. And I started to get to the point where I really didn't argue back or question too much. And he said, okay, you need to create a Christmas dinner invite. And invite your whole family for Christmas dinner at your new home on Whidbey Island. And I'm like, I haven't even put an offer on this house. I mean, I don't have a home on Whidbey Island. And he's like, do you believe what we teach? And I'm like, oh. So I created the invite and I sent it, which is just seems so crazy. But I did it. And everybody RSVP'd instantly. Yes, we'll be there. My whole huge family's coming for Christmas dinner at my new home on Whidbey Island. And then they're going, now what's about this new home on Whidbey Island? And I'm like, oh, we'll talk about that later. But what happened? What happened when I did that? All of a sudden, and Bob knew that there was no way I wasn't going to own a new home on Whidbey Island for Christmas dinner. There was no way that that would happen. And so I thought, I better get to work. And I negotiated the deal, worked out a good deal, and I gave myself 3 months to come up with a big amount of cash that I did not have. And I ended up closing early and moving in early, and I had a beautiful Christmas dinner with my entire family that I will never forget. My dad, I still remember the conversations, the laughter, the joy, and my dad passed away 2 years ago this November, and I always think back to that dinner and what a special time it was, you know, but you have to do some crazy things to get to that point. And what happens is, and we're going to get into this in detail, and you just want to lock into it so high. When you make that committed decision, your thought is on a frequency, and you elevate your thought to the frequency of your goal. You cannot do that until you've made a committed decision. And then the ideas and the people and the resources start coming to you. And you figure out the how. But if you start with the how, if you get locked into the how and you let it stop you from even creating the goal and making a committed decision, you're never going to get there. You can't. So it's really key to make that committed decision and lock in to what you really want. So we're going to get into this, and we're going to get into it deep. Take notes, really, really open your mind, and when you get the opportunity to interact with Bob or with myself or with people at your table, just really interact and go full out so that you can make a huge transformation this weekend, all right?